Mythos Busters, investigating the mystery, monsters, and madness of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Hello, and welcome to Mythos Busters. We missed you. How did you travel in your time away? I'm Sean, and joining me tonight is Ian. Hey, Ian.
Hello.
And Justin. Hey, Justin.
Hey, guys.
And unfortunately, Scott could not make it tonight. And in fact, he's so busy at work and in such a specific spot at work that he can't even watch. Normally, he gets to sit and watch. So I don't know if they still do Fs in chat on Twitch, but Fs in the chat for Scott.
Can we also take a moment? Because I thought of this today. When Scott can't join us, it's because he's literally saving lives.
That's true.
But I want to give him crap, but then I'm like, oh my God, he's actually saving lives. So thanks, Scott, for all you do. We miss you.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he can't be distracted while, working is a good thing for society as a whole, as much as it sucks for us tonight. But we've got a very fun episode for you guys tonight. We are going to dive into some exciting news. There was a big stream with a lot of information on the future of Arkham, and we are going to run through that. I would say pretty close to all good news, but I guess that depends a little bit on where you sit. And speaking of where you sit, after we get done going through the news, we want to have a little bit of a talk on the vibe of the community nowadays. It's vibing at a certain frequency, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit. So stay tuned for that. But before we get to any of that, let's do a little bit of business. So first, patrons. I want to take this moment. We talked about it at the beginning of the actual stream, but who knows if you watched the card preview. So I'm just going to pretend that you didn't. But we have gotten upgrades. Look at how nice our cameras are. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Twitch, we've got a bunch of recording equipment that is going to get used at the con and possibly other places. We got lighting. We're doing a lot of cool stuff, and it is all thanks to the support we get from our patrons. So, and this was a personal project, but it ended up working out really well. So I got to put all my board games behind me, and you guys don't have to look at my chaotic work desk. It's great. We're all excited. But anyway, we just wanted to throw a big thanks out to all the patrons who support us, because you guys really enable us to do all the cool things we get to do and try to get better at them. I think we hadn't done an equipment refresh since pandemic times. Am I remembering correctly, guys?
That sounds about right.
That sounds correct.
And things have come a long way. So anyway, big thanks to all of our patrons, but especially thanks to our board, who are currently sitting: Rick, John D, Kevin, John G, Ben, Carl, Jared, Jesse, Walker, Patrick, Morton, and Ian. We love you guys. Thank you for your support. Okay, so a little bit of news, I guess. If you're a patron already, or if you haven't already, go do it. You can pay or not, and you still get updates and cool stuff from us. So, out on our Patreon, I plan to throw up a little bit of a roadmap and a status update on Dissonant Voices. But the short version is that, unfortunately, we've been having some issues with the back end side of Dissonant Voices. Obviously making the connection available to the Arkham Cards app for our patrons. But always remember that the narrations themselves are freely available, and instructions for how you can access those are out on Patreon. So check that out. Midwinter Gala is completed and up. Next on the docket is Film Fatale, and then I will be diving headfirst into the black waters of Drowned City. And then we will be all up to date. So more news to come on that.
Nice that you completed midwinter.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel oddly appropriate.
And I still owe Fortune and Folly, which I feel like I've been saying that for a while now. But I will complete it before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out and before Winds of Winter is completed. That is my pledge.
Before Half-Life 3.
Yep.
You know what we should do? We should just do an episode where we're reading the texts and then record it and then put it on. So
we'll workshop it.
We'll workshop. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just spitballing. Bad ideas and brainstorming, right?
And then we take turns being the director of. Can you run that back again? Run that back a bit more serious.
I want a little wider. Can you go wider with it? But in Mythos Busters adjacent news, Ian, give us your big update. Talk about Up the Table, man.
Yeah, I've been running a Kickstarter for a game called Up the Table. I talked about it last time I was on the episode. I think I missed last episode, but whatever was before that. So yeah, start launching at the beginning of January. It's a roll and write print and play game that puts you in the shoes of a soccer manager, football manager, whatever you want to call it. And it's been doing really well. Where it's like 1,000% funded, something crazy like that. Went through all the stretch goals, so super excited, and wasn't expecting it to go that well, because if anyone who knows me knows I expect the worst, usually intentionally, as a defense mechanism, so that I'm always pleasantly surprised, and so I'm pleasantly surprised. But it's been going well. So you can find it now on Kickstarter. It's still running for another 9 days if you want to see if it's something that interests you, and if you choose to back, I'm very grateful to you. So it's Up the Table. You can search and find it on Kickstarter.
And Ian, I think you also have to tell the story about how one of your pledge levels was that people could name a character. And you brought it up in our Patreon channel and had immediate uptake. And then what happened?
And then I regretted all my life decisions.
Oh, you bet your ass I bought one of those slots. Yes, I did, Sonny Jim.
It was so funny when I was putting together those. I'm like, oh, what can I give on the higher end? I'm like, naming something in the game is always fun, so let's give people the option to name a player. But I was like, I don't know if people actually go for it, but it'll be a fun thing. Then,
I'm just gonna give
sure
you.
Enough, those slots were gobbled up very quickly, like the first day, I think.
I'm just gonna give you Pete Sampras. Like, I don't watch soccer. I can't make soccer jokes.
Yeah.
Dr. Touchdown.
Dr. Touchdown.
Jimmy Two Kicks for the inside joke.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
this is a broader interest beyond just the game. I mean, I told my wife about this, that I had done this, and instead of her rolling her eyes or something, she was immediately like engaged, like, "Ooh, what are you going to name the character?" So,
Goalie McGoalface, yeah, player McPlayerface, yeah, we got there.
Yep.
Anyway, well, I'm so glad that went well. So I'll look forward to getting the updates on that. Obviously, I mean, I backed it, so I'm getting the updates. But on the podcast as well, it's exciting to share the stuff. So very, very cool. All right, so let's move it on to the main topic then. So FFG did a stream, and by FFG I mean Duke and Liv, the community manager, and the Duke. They did a stream where they were talking about the kind of roadmap, or being a little bit more specific, at least about 2026 and what that looks like for Arkham. So I'd say the first big nugget we have is something that I referenced earlier, but if you haven't heard the actual date yet, they did announce, and this is intended to be a worldwide release date, in as much as that is possible anymore. I know it's complicated, but March 20th, 2026 is going to be the release date for the new Chapter 2 core. And we came just, half a year short of a decade after the first core dropped. So close. That's pretty crazy. All right, so clock is ticking. Everyone figure
come
out
very soon.
Oh, that shit. You can hear it in the distance already,
yeah.
Man. Like, if you've got a bucket list for Chapter 1, see to it. The time is slipping.
I can feel my anxiety spiking.
I'm sorry, I'll stop talking.
I was gonna say, is that from this, or just because it's any day of the week?
Yeah, good point. Could be anything.
So yeah, I mean, I personally have been cleaning up because the only official content that I've yet to play are some of the parallel scenarios. So I'm lining up myself a bunch of campaigns where I'm using parallel investigators and taking them into their specific scenario. So we're doing Jack right now. The first time in his scenario did not go well. It did not go well. I don't know if you guys have played The Forgotten Age recently, but it's really hard and mean, and Nick made it meaner. And I guess I should have expected that, but I didn't. And I was hurt. Have either of you played that one yet?
Have not.
It's on my
Ian,
list.
I know you were like leaning or like going toward it at some point, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah,
Or were you just
I'm
playing
planning
Parallel
on.
Jack?
No, I'm planning on including it in my current Drowned City campaign, which includes Parallel Monterey Jack, but I haven't quite gotten to that point in the campaign where I'm going to include it. Which, now that I say that, I don't really have a decided point, but probably somewhere in the middle.
Sure. I'm doing it in Scarlet Keys because, as mentioned, I'm running through some reps right now. So after we finish Dancing Mad, we're swinging over to Mexico, and then we'll swing back to Ybor City, and I think the key will be unlocked by then, and it'll be fine. I just got to make it through. So yeah. So all right. Well, quick aside. We spend so much time talking about news and meta and stuff. Like, I want to talk about the game for a quick second, if everyone will allow. How are you finding Parallel Jack? And kind of what was your strategy with your build? What'd you do? Like what? Give it to me. Give it to me, man.
I'm really enjoying Parallel Jack. Original Jack is obviously super powerful. Sometimes, not to say I don't like OG Jack, but sometimes I actually don't vibe well with the like super strong investigators because it's like it's too much on a platter for me. Like, I like making my life difficult, so
Don't you lie to me. I know it's because he can't upgrade into green cards. I know that's the real reason.
That's true. Yeah, you caught me. Can't lie. Parallel Jack, I just really like the whole relic thing. It feels like it's really hitting that Indiana Jones type flavor to it. So yeah, I think I prefer Parallel, not in terms of power, but in terms of the fun factor of the ability.
And like what tell me about your build. Like, what are the relics you're aiming for? Like, what's kind of the thing you're doing?
I wish I could say it was more thought out than it is, because I feel like I just kind of looked through the list of like charms and relics and tried to pull in the ones that were most interesting to me. But like I've upgraded into the red clock, so I'm just trying to. It's not really like built around red clock like say my Jenny deck, but it's just like a fun thing that you can pull in. There's stuff like the disc of Itzamna to like just get rid of enemies. I guess one of the main things is I have the hyper physical shotcaster, so that's like a relic that it's grabbing. Yeah,
I always forget that's a relic. There's some things that I think should be relics and are charms instead, and there are things that are like that has relic. Okay, but yeah, I because the real shame about the way Parallel Monterey is built is that he cannot take the greater of the red clocks. He cannot take the red grandfather clock.
correct.
Can he?
Yeah,
and that was a bit disappointing. I did the same thing. My main thing was that I'm like, all right, well, okay. So if I'm thinking his ability through, because his ability is when you discover the last clue at your location, you search the top X cards of your deck for a thing, play it at minus X cost. That's really cool. However, since X determines the dig, that like digging like 2 to 4 cards is not a deep dig. Right. So like,
sure,
and you're only like in a scenario, you're only going to be clearing like, I mean, I guess maybe solo's slightly different. I'm playing 2-player right now, but like he's only going to clear like 5 to 6 at best locations. Well, maybe not at best, 5 to 6 locations on average in a scenario when you're sharing the load with someone else. I decided that I wanted the digs to mean more, so I went Underworld support with it.
Sure.
And it's been interesting. And I do like that we're finally at the place of mechanical redundancy in the card pool, that you can run Underworld support and still feel like, all right, I'm going to get a random bunch of cards and there are no duplicates, but I'll still have what I need.
Yeah.
It's been good. I am 4 scenarios into this campaign, guys. 5 if you're including the one that I've started playing. I have yet to actually pull a relic out with his ability.
Oh my gosh, really?
I got Discovit Zamna once, and every other high value relic I have in this deck, including the clock, I took the Dial of Ancients, I have always just drawn them normally, and it's like...
Yeah, that does happen too, like drawing a bunch of them early on, and then so there's not a lot left in the deck later, or stuff like that. I don't know what my success rate is. It's not that bad, but... I have whiffed my fair share for sure.
Yeah, I personally kind of wish that the dig wasn't dependent, because I like the cost reduction. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. But I wish the dig went deeper normally, just so you can actually find a thing to play. Because there's only so many you can include, and a lot of them have XP. So it's a very I don't want to say unfun, because you're still playing with good cards. But it does feel an awful lot like, well, why am I playing this investigator from like levels 1 to 10, right? Like, you're not doing the thing that you're excited in building this investigator to be doing. And it's, I don't know, I found it to be a little boring off the jump.
It's one of those investigator abilities that I sometimes find myself playing around. Like, I'll make a different decision because I really want to clear out the location this turn so that I can try to activate the ability. There's some investigators where their ability is just kind of goes off with what you're doing anyway, and there's some like this one where it kind of influences your decision making because you really want it to fire off. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something I noticed, but I think the good part of it is it's just one of those abilities where it like brings an asset into play kind of for free, quote unquote. So that's good for those assets that free in terms of actions, because there are some like the Fox Mask is like an MVP of this deck. It's like one of those cards that sometimes I often cut because I'm like, especially when I'm playing solo or something, I'm like, I'm not gonna have the actions to play it. But I keep getting like this. I feel like this is the like Monterey Jack really likes the mask. He keeps finding it and playing it, but then every time it's on the board, like it does work for me.
I have the mask in there too, and it's fantastic. I drastically underestimated the Fox Mask in general when it came out, but then I played it in Kaimani, preparing for our Edge of the Earth Iron Man, and I'm like, oh wait, if you're playing multiplayer at all, this is so easy to replenish. Yeah. Like, you don't even have to be interacting with or taking care of these enemies. Like, they can be with someone. Like, it's a very, very, it's one of the best masks, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
We'll do a mask tier list someday with
yes.
When we have all the new head slots.
Yeah, face slot.
The new hat slots. Or head. It's probably a head slot, right? I can't remember if it was officially like told to us what that slot is called. Surely there's more than just hats.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Well, I'm all for more slots, so give us all the slots. I know it. I've accepted my fate. This will be clipped.
I'm not even going to do it to you. All right. So tangent over. Thank you for coming with us on this Monterey Jack flavored journey. Let's go back. So we've got the core set coming out on March 20th, 26. And then let me pull up the handy dandy little graphic that they showed us here. So we don't have exact dates for anything else, but as far as the product offering for 2026 goes, the starter decks are going to be sometime after the core set in spring. Still is the current slated time. Summer will be Children of Blood, and during the fall, Traces to Nowhere will release. And I'm going to assume, though maybe this is too much of an assumption, but I'm going to assume that Traces to Nowhere will drop early at Gen Con. That is a usual thing that happens. So I don't know if they have Chapter 1 standalone planned instead, but I wouldn't think so, because it's going to be well after the Chapter 2 core drops. So Anyway.
Yeah, who knows? It could be
a
like send off to chapter 1, or could just be moving forward with chapter 2.
Mm-hmm. We will find out. And then they also announced the Miskatonic Masquerade in Minnesota, which is going to be kind of a soiree / release party for the core set. That's going to be April 4th, I think they said, in the Wabasha Street Caves. And if you remember, if you have been around for a while, or if you you care to go digging on the FFG YouTube, Nick, when he did the murder at the Excelsior, went with MJ, and they did a live action like little video to preview it, and they did shtick, and it was in the Wabasha Street Caves, and it was fun. It was very fun, and I'm very sad they haven't done anything else silly like that. But that was where that was set. So that'll be where this new soiree is going to be. Justin, I think we were talking about it earlier. It has the verbiage of sounding like a costume party / cosplay invitation.
Yeah,
like where you're going to a speakeasy.
Yeah,
right?
My understanding is that it is a bit of the cosplay. I think they're planning to do it similar to what I think it was 2 years ago they did a masquerade ball at Gen Con. That's my understanding of it, especially if they are going to have it over at the Wabasha Street Caves, which for those who may not either aren't local to the Twin Cities in Minnesota or who didn't see. Again, it was an awesome video that that Nick and MJ did a couple years ago, and it was like a little bit of a tour of it. It is steeped in gangster history, like it was a speakeasy. There is a very high chance there is a body in the floor in one of the back caverns. So real cool space, very much a throwback.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. We'll see if we if we go, we will shoot some stuff there and share it. But I can't say for sure that we'll go. But that's April 4th in Minnesota for anyone who's interested. I know they're going to be selling tickets at some point in the future, so pay attention for that. So moving further, we've got another announcement, and I think this is a kind of a foregone conclusion. Sean, are the street caves within soccer ball kicking distance of the game center? Unfortunately, unless you are a really good soccer player. If you are launching that soccer ball from like an Abrams tank, perhaps. So Chapter 2 products now are going to be in one of two categories. They're either going to be evergreen or rotating. So they've been using the term evergreen, and I think, we've pretty much kind of sussed most of this out, but I think this is the first time they laid it out plain. So evergreen will be planned to be in print indefinitely. That doesn't mean forever, but it does mean indefinitely and for the foreseeable future. And the evergreen products that they've announced so far are going to be the core set and as well the new investigator starter decks. And then rotating are going to be in print and supported that way for 2 years, and then will fall off of the current rotation and go out of print. And basically the idea here is that we will fully support and stock 2 years worth of product at any given time. And by we, I mean FFG. We don't do this ourselves. But so that's interesting. And I know, like I said, we had kind of sussed most of this out, but now hearing it put that way, how do you guys feel about that?
I think it makes sense. I mean, it kind of goes along with what we talked about, that they're kind of trying to build in rotation and kind of making sure the game can last for the long term. I do kind of understand why it feels weird, because in some ways it feels a change from for people who have been around a long time. There's this old LCG promise of like everything, it will always be there, and the card pool is the card pool, and you can always get it. But this is like, I think, trying to learn from, maybe mistakes is too harsh of a word, but lessons from the LCG model of like, game stores can't stock like 20 years of LCG material. Like, shelf space is finite, and so like, I think just for a lot of reasons logistically, they like, if this game is going to last for a long time, they have to be able to rotate and stuff out and can't stock stuff forever, realistically.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about the prevailing reactions to this at the moment, or in a bit after we kind of get through the news. But I take the stance here of this is the first LCG that has existed long enough and strong enough to actually have to square off against this problem. Like we've had some half measures, we've had some reprints and repackagings and trying to like figure out how to consolidate all the different products. But this is the first LCG that has kind of taken the step forward and say, all right, well, to solve this problem, we are going to hone in our focus on what remains current and, not print everything into perpetuity, which I guess was possibly the assumption before, that reprints would always be coming.
Yeah.
Justin, how about you?
Well, I'm fine with it. I think I am on the optimistic side for it, for what it can do, for balance on the one hand, and what that can free them up to do with story on the other hand. Because I imagine, again, I'm not a game designer, don't have inside knowledge of this, but I imagine as they're working through that final FAQ that I believe they're doing for Chapter 1, that's got to be insanely cumbersome to think of all the different interactions and how they may or may not interact, and imagine continuing to build on that. And so now with the more limited rotation and knowing you only have the certain number of evergreen products, I think that will make the balancing way easier. I think they'll do cool stuff. And then where I get optimistic is I hope that frees up additional creative space for them to focus on the stories. Not that they aren't before, like to be clear, but I think that will be very freeing, and they won't have to just dive for so long into the minutia of balance. They'll still balance it, but it won't be an all-encompassing thing. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but it just seems like that's what this can unlock. And as we know, I love story and theme, so I'm excited for that part.
I think for also one of the things I'm thinking about is for players like us who are longtime players, like I don't think it's that big a change because we're just going to buy everything that comes out, right? So like doesn't really matter. I think for like brand new players who are looking for a place to start, it'll be good because it's just like instead of all this stuff to collect, it's like this is what's here. So let me get this first. I think the one challenge will be for new players who are like the completionist type who want everything. So let's say they come into this game 5 years from now and there's a bunch of stuff out of print, which is going to be true for Chapter 1 anyway. But let's say some of these chapter stuff 2 campaigns are out of print now. Just having to like go on eBay and collect it, I guess, will be the part that'll be a little challenging depending on how like scarce those things end up being.
Yeah, so the scarcity thing is going to be an ongoing conversation, I wager, because it'll be interesting. Because if I'm a new player and I'm taking a deep dive into this, depending on how deep you go, right? Like there are people who take this more casually than us and are normal people. But if you're like me and you take the deep dive and you like want to know all the cards and you want to like see the history and like you lock in with a content creator who's been putting stuff out for a long time, back into Chapter 1, you're gonna see a lot of shit you can't buy, and that's unfortunate, and it's going to be tough for a lot of people to handle, and it's going to be a point of frustration in the community, probably for the remainder of the game. I don't know, but I guess we'll figure it out. We've got some ideas. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move on here. Ian, why don't you run us through what the new products are going to be?
Yeah, so kind of they've said it before, but kind of reiterated and gave some more details that we're kind of going to be looking at for releases per year is the goal, but what those releases are, the mix will vary by year, and it will consist of some of the following each year. There's the core set, which obviously we're probably only going to get one of those, I'm assuming. So chapter 2 core set.
We've gotten 3 so far.
That's true. I guess I shouldn't be so sure about that. We might get some revised in the future. But for now, at least, we're getting the core set, chapter 2 this year. And so that's that. We kind of know what a core set will entail. It's going to have a 3 scenario campaign, which is not Night of the Zealot. This is going to be a brand new campaign. But from what they mentioned on stream, it's similarly going to be geared towards ramping up new players. And like, so I would expect the first scenario to be kind of gathering-esque in terms of like starting out small and building from there. Then we'll see kind of how the rest of the campaign plays out. But so we'll have a bunch of new player cards. We'll have the 3 scenario campaign. And then there's going to be the starter decks. So that's going to be all player cards. These are those evergreen ones that Sean mentioned. So these will be decks ready to go. And also kind of new player cards we can build with. And we'll be able to use those indefinitely. And then we have campaign expansions. So this is where we get new scenarios to play. And so they're either going to be kind of smaller size, which are 3 scenario ones, like the Children of Blood, small size. There's also going to be longer ones, which I believe they said will be like 5 scenarios roughly. And so they made it sound like they're kind of going to alternate between the small and big, the 3 and 5, but then there may be some years where we quite possibly get both. So that's not necessarily locked in set. It'll kind of depend year to year. We'll also get individual scenario standalones, scenario packs. And then in terms of getting more player cards, we kind of have like the small and big campaigns. We're also kind of getting what I kind of think of as like smaller, big deck build player card focused expansions. So we have investigator expansions, which will give us new investigators and a big dump of player cards. And then we also have deck building expansions, which will be a new set of player cards, but probably no investigators, ? And
it was funny because on that stream they pointed out that the distinguishing feature between the investigator expansions versus the deck building expansions is that the deck building expansions probably won't have investigators, but only probably.
Yeah,
like, it's not impossible that they'll decide to do it differently. So
yeah, there's definitely some hedging going on in some of these areas, which makes sense because like this is their plan, but things will change in the future as they have before, and they might experiment with changing up this formula here and there, but this is what we know. Also, the investigator expansions previously, they were kind of themed with the campaign they accompanied. So let's say you have like Drowned City investigator cards, like there's going to be kind of some semblance of a theme related to Drowned City, but now the investigator expansions are going to be just their own thing. They're not going to be tied to a campaign, so it could be anything. So I'm not sure if that means they will have their own theme or if it's just gonna kind of be just whatever, but we'll kind of see what that looks like going forward.
Yeah.
So I have a question because I have not been able to catch up on the stream yet. I understand the roadmap. I understand that they were very clear on spelling out how many scenarios are in these expansions. Did they say anything more beyond the number? Because I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We'll get to how people feel about, the number of expansions, number of scenarios. But a scenario can vary wildly, right? Like we are used to, I think we're thinking of, a scenario is a certain thing and it will take a certain amount of time to play. I mean, I don't know. For all we know, they're not beholden to that, or maybe there'll be longer ones, or what's I'm thinking the standalone stuff too. We have the Egypt standalone. What's it called when it's packaged together?
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Abyss.
Yeah, that's two scenarios, but it's a standalone. So I don't know. Did they say anything about that?
Not to my memory, and what numbers they gave were tentative.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't really go that in depth, other than just, I think they were just mentioning that the new format gives them a little bit more freedom to experiment with different possibilities in that regard. So yeah, like to your point, Justin, like a scenario is not always equal to another scenario. Like if you look at the standalones, like there's so much scenario packed in there in certain ones. Look at Excelsior Hotel and all the different variations there are there. So not saying that's
remember,
necessarily
that's a
what,
Nick.
yeah, not saying necessarily that's what we're gonna get, but just like that raw number might not indicate exactly what we're gonna get.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to reiterate this probably a few times throughout this conversation, because this is very informational and we're trying to set expectations right. They have mixed up the formula for how they release Arkham more than once in the past.
Yep.
Before this time, where they're mixing it up again. So, the idea that if this is terrible and not the way you'd prefer Arkham to be released, this is probably not the only way it's going to be released. They've changed things in the past. They'll probably change things in the future, especially if there's good faith criticism and dialogue going on about what works and what doesn't. Speaking of, yeah. So
Well, before we dive into that,
Yeah.
I do see there's one more thing in the show notes, and I think I mentioned it in passing, but I again have not watched. They will be doing a final FAQ for Chapter 1. That's correct.
Yep.
correct.
So there's
Okay.
the one more coming out. Yep.
Cool.
And they also mentioned there's going to be a little bit different presentation of FAQs in Chapter 2, that there's going to be like a big grimoire that consolidates the rules reference and FAQs and taboo, presumably, and everything else into one document.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for
I
one
love
more
consolidation.
more FAQ, because then I'll actually print it out to have, because I made it. And then I will also finally get around to printing the taboo version of the cards, now that that is where they
good
will
call.
stand.
Yeah, good call.
Cool. So, I don't even really know how to preface this, but there's a lot of discussion obviously going on, at least the places that the places that I haunt. Obviously I haunt our Discord. I interact very little, but I'm everywhere, guys. I read so much. I haunt our Discord, and then I'm on the subreddit a little bit. Occasionally I'll pop over to BGG. I can't even really say how active those forums are anymore. But at least from what I've seen, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of big feelings. And before we embark on this discussion, I want to first and foremost for myself set a tone of respect and set some levels here, because I find myself wanting to be a little sassy about a lot of the comments that get left on some of these threads, and sometimes the thread themselves. But, the reality is a thing that we love and ideally are invested in. If you're going so far as to do a big write-up or put time into a comment on a subreddit, you're invested in Arkham to a certain strong degree. But a thing that we all love and are invested in is changing. And there's a lot of talk about how it's changing, and that inherently, regardless of what the changes are, can be a hard thing to process and look forward to and all that stuff, right? Everyone's entitled to their feelings. I'm far too therapized to tell anyone their feelings are wrong. However, the internet does have a habit, I think, and you guys tell me if you disagree, but the internet does seem to have a little bit of a habit of amplifying a lot of the dark feels to a degree.
Just a tad, just a little bit.
Okay, all right. Am I being too light with it?
No, you're making a ton of sense with it, because I try, and when I'm in there reading, and I give people a lot of leeway with it, but all I want to do with a lot of this discussion is go in there with a virtual bat and talk that is labeled most respectful interpretation. And I understand there's some irony there.
Is it the talking bat or is it a hitting bat?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's probably
Might be
because
bringing
we
it to group therapy.
yeah, no, because we focus on that so much in the Discord and elsewhere, right? Is like hear what is
Sure.
being said, try and give a most respectful interpretation. And I think that's why I am bothered a bit by some of the current discourse is people are truly allowed to feel how they feel. But a lot of what I'm seeing is I think people jumping to they're not recognizing that change is affecting them and it's coming out negative and sideways. That's not me saying we should always be positive. I want to be very clear on that because you guys know me, I'm not always positive. But something feels different right now.
Yeah, it's
Agree.
it's something we see like in, I don't know, movies, TV shows, anything where something gets announced and before it's ever come out and anyone has ever watched it, people start spiraling. Like the internet and forums are so good for spiraling. Like I've done my share of spiraling where you get in somewhere and like you get in with other people and like you just feed off each other's energy, but you're really like, if taking a second back to examine, you're making a lot of speculation and assumptions in some cases about stuff we just don't know and haven't experienced yet. And so, yeah, I think like in a lot of these cases, I can totally understand where it's coming from and how people got there. And so I don't think the feeling itself is unreasonable. I guess it's just a caution against a lot of thinking either what's going to happen or why it happened without necessarily having all that info.
Fully agree. I think the comments that make me want to really be sassy are the ones that are framing like clear speculation and catastrophizing as fact, or at least as like conclusions that should be bought into, and that's just so tough. That's so tough to see. I know some things and I read some of these threads and I'm like, nope, that's not right. That's not how that happened. Like we've been lucky enough to be close enough to the development of this game. And some of us have even taken part in the development of this game. And some of us left this place where we sometimes take part in the development of this game to just go develop this game. So like we're pretty adjacent to a lot of how this particular sausage is made and going out and seeing some of these threads, and I'm not going to call anything out specifically because I don't want to add to any negative anything basically as much as possible, but it's kind of wild to see how sure some people are that they know what's going on and why it's bad when they're clearly wrong, from someone who's fortunate enough to know more than your average Arkham player. But so let's unpack this a bit and offer a little bit of alternative perspective, maybe run over some of the big points that people are talking about. And as Arkham players do, try to fend off some of the doom that has been going around. Let's remove some doom from this agenda here, guys. So the first thing that I want to acknowledge fully, like square on, is that Chapter 1 stuff is going out of print. Like, that's hard truth. It's sad. There's no arguments there. Like it's just going to be inaccessible for people to find. And especially, I think it's going to be worst. I'm predicting. I might be wrong here, but I'm predicting that it's going to be at its worst in the first year or so of Chapter 2.
Sure.
Because like the greater proportion of Arkham as a whole that exists back in the Chapter 1 tale that you can no longer get, that it's out of print, the more there is to just look at and feel FOMO over. So there is going to be a period, I think, where that is way more intense than it will be in 5 years. I think that's fair to say.
I think so, yeah.
I think that's absolutely fair to say, and I share your read on it, more so from, I'm an avid watcher of just like general board game markets and stuff. And, I've bought, sold, flipped things before.
Justin is a speculative agent.
I think we are already nearing a place price-wise that is not sustainable. You have people who want to complete their collection, and so they're trying to avoid the FOMO. But when single campaigns, not campaign plus player, but single campaigns start to get, $300, $400, $500, I love the game, but I mean, it starts to not be worth it. And I think we're going to start to see people drop off after we get through that first year period of people completing collection and then just moving on. So I think,
and I hope those prices come down too, because it'd be one thing if like Arkham expectedly just went away.
yeah,
And people are like, oh my God, there's still this really active community for it. I was just thinking about buying in. I must get Arkham while it's still around. But like, guys, there's more Arkham coming. They're not done.
yeah,
And like, I know that doesn't help the pain of knowing what you can't get, but there will be more things coming to get.
yeah,
And you can take solace in that at least.
yeah. Well, and there is, here, you go ahead and continue the discussion.
Oh yeah, well I mean I think there's good ways to just kind of think about not despairing, because there are just always going to exist ways to experience that old content. We've got some ideas for our own little community biosphere. There's always a rotation of collections for sale. Justin, confirm. Like, I know the prices are rough right now, but they're around.
I mean, they are rough in the abstract, but I did actually just to help some friends out complete some stuff. I did just purchase a collection, and I mean it was, I think, right at $1,000. Now that is where then I will piece some of it out at cost. So it, like, again, I'm trying to be an agent of, let's just get this to the right people, not to flip it. But I thought that was reasonable. Now, spending $1,000 on a whole bunch of content is still tough. That is cost prohibitive to many people. I want to be very
That's
clear.
a big chunk.
I recognize that. But I mean, it was, for what was in that bundle, it was well below what MSRP even was. So
Right.
They are available. And so you would just have to be purposeful and watch for them. I think we will continue to see more of those.
I will even go so far as to posit that once we reach that event horizon I was talking about earlier, where there's like enough in-print content to like occupy a new player, right? Like, these are the things I need to buy. This is what's available. Let me go nom nom nom, right? Once we reach that point where it's not all about, oh my God, chapter 2 has no content. Chapter 1's going away. I must consume chapter 1. I bet the price of chapter 1 stuff will really come down. Like, maybe not as low as we'd like it buying in, but I think the demand for it will fall when there's a ton of chapter 2 stuff to buy.
Yeah. I think it's a mix of that. And then it's also just a reminder to people, if you are at a point where you're going to be looking at full collections or bigger chunks of collections, you have not only eBay, obviously, Facebook Marketplace, just, again, be cautious with it. Also, don't be afraid to ask online in our Discord or elsewhere, hey, does anyone locally see a collection? And then maybe you can have people find it and ship. I mean, that's what I'm doing with the one I found for people, is they aren't my local friends, but they're looking to fill it out. Well, I happen to be somewhere that has more of it floating around, found it, bought it for them, we'll ship it to them. So just, there will be ways to get it. It just may not be right away, and you may need to be purposeful with planning on budget. But it's not like with chapter 1 being done, the cards evaporate.
Well, and like, fighting FOMO is hard. I get
It is.
that.
Oh,
I get that.
100%.
Especially like that lizard part of our brain that activates when something we value becomes perceived as scarce. It's terrible. It's awful. I fucking get it. Like, so no shade to anyone like who is just sad about that.
Yes. Yeah. To be clear, we are not trying to tell you not to worry, not to be sad. We are trying to promise that it might not be today, but it will be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm definitely a completionist at heart, and I've gone through this with other games that have been out of print, and it is rough trying to complete a collection. On the other hand, maybe this is a bit of copium, but from what I've experienced doing that is sometimes when you acquire a huge amount of content at once, it's really hard to work your way through it and internalize it and just get a handle on it, especially both player cards and scenarios. So those who do find themselves in the situation in the future, I think, take the opportunity to know that as you're acquiring stuff piecemeal, maybe you're able to kind of like enjoy each piece of it along the way, instead of like worrying about like getting everything at once when you're not even going to be able to like enjoy it all at once if you do.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll mention quietly, that there are non-analog ways to play the game. I don't know much about it, but if you want to ask around our Discord, someone might know something.
I think the phrase you just asked for is, I would like the forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, I seek forbidden knowledge. Yep. So beyond that, though, like, we are working on some stuff in the background. I think it's fair to say that, or we'll be working on some stuff for patrons, but I do think that it's a goal. I'm not promising anything, but it's a goal of mine, if we can get a hold of some of these campaigns, to have them available to rent at ArkhamCon. Essentially, so that you could come to ArkhamCon and decide that, all right, well, instead of Iron Man, or instead of, multiplayer or whatever else, I'm going to find 3 other people who have yet to play Carcosa because I've heard it's so great and the FOMO kills me, and go play Carcosa. So, like, there will be ways. I think Justin put this one in here, but yeah, don't forget that fan-made content is a thing.
Yep, I did, and sorry, I had to, for those still on the stream, I had to jump off camera. But yeah, it's, again, not the same as Chapter 1, but it is easy to get plenty of content to still play the game we love. Again, if that's just a thing that holds you over while you're waiting to get your hands on something that's way out of print at the moment, a lot of the fan-made stuff is really good too. So don't sell it short.
Yeah, I've been really pleasantly surprised by a lot of the stuff that I've tried. I haven't done a ton of fan-made content yet, but a lot of it's surprisingly good.
As an additional positive to this, if there's no one in your area at all who plays Arkham, it doesn't apply. I understand that, but you can also take this as an opportunity to make friends with new people who are around there. I mean, throw out an ask in Discord or somewhere else if there's someone in your area who plays, and then you can still experience the content. I know that doesn't help the FOMO part of the brain for owning it, and again, that it might be a multi-stage way to address the problem, but this community continues to grow, and I mean, make the most of it.
That's honestly, we'll probably return to this as we go through, but that's one of my biggest like points of take comfort. Like, if you're having a hard time right now, remember the community around this game is only growing. It's not going away. We're still here. There's plenty of other like bloggers and YouTubers and deck builders, and surely I'm forgetting other types of content that exist around this game. But like, we're all still here, and we're all still, well, I won't speak for everyone. Most of us are still here and still supporting the game. And we'll be talking about the new content same way as we talked about the old content. So if you enjoy being in like the community zeitgeist, you will.
And gentlemen, I'm sorry, I have to drop, which works because I went off camera and then messed up where our names are on the stream anyway. So mea culpa. But before I drop, I did, you guys, I know we'll cover the rest of the discussion, and we're pretty much in agreement with most of it, but I think that was a good point for me to drop out at, of if you are concerned about the changes, you aren't alone, meaning not that everyone's concerned, but there is a community around this. So reach out. Let's see what the content is first. And then, yeah, let's just all go through this together, and then we're going to get a couple years down the road and be like, oh yeah, this is all the new stuff, and they're changing the model again, and that'll be fine.
Also, this like shelving unit only has so many spaces. Like, I'm on a 1 in, 1 out situation now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Census Beast. Who needs more stuff to store anyway? Be real. Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, Justin, thank you on your way out. The advice to like make friends in the community and try to see if you can meet anyone who owns the content you want to play and make a friend. I don't know. I kind of feel like that's just as good, if not better, than playing a card game.
Yeah, right. Like, and it can be tough to do to reach out, right? Like, I acknowledge that, especially if you don't know the people. But it can also be worth it. I mean, as proof of that, I mean, Sean and I are coming up on knowing each other for a decade. So first of all, Sean, go us.
That's true. That's true.
But we didn't we did have a mutual friend, but the first few times we interacted, it was playing Mansions of Madness. Like, it was, again, didn't know each other. So you can make really good friends. So yeah, put yourself out there. It can be tough. And I will also throw out
squarely, the majority of good friends that I have, I've met through gaming, one way or another.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it happens.
Yeah.
It's great.
And on the flip side of that, if you are a person who can connect people, feel free to offer that up. Again, we know we are a community of many introverts. So if you are willing to do that, do it. I will do that right now. Again, as proof. I am not promising I will be able to play with anyone. Time is limited, but if you are in the Twin Cities area and need help finding other people, let me know and I will connect you with someone.
And beyond the Twin Cities, if you're in our Discord or are about to join it, because you should, we have a whole section of people who post like, hey, any players in this area, any players in this area, and you can just do a whole search on that chat and see who you got. You'll find someone.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I have to jump. I'll let you guys
Justin.
finish it up. Yeah, good chat, and bye, everybody.
Yep. See ya.
So another thing I kind of want to throw out there, and just kind of shifting gears from where we were just chatting, but I do think an exacerbating factor, perhaps, to the current Discord, at least discourse. God, now I've got those two in my head, and they're going to tangle up and trip over each other. It's going to be terrible. Anyway, so an exacerbating factor to the current discourse, at least the darker part, the doomier part, the part that is driven a little bit more by that concern, right? I think it's being amplified a little bit just by the name that has been thrown out here. So I will point out that we have gone through paradigm shifts with Arkham before. The one exception, and again, this is why we threw it at the front of the discussion here, is that at no point did everything else that had existed go away or stop being printed. But we have had many shakeups of what's on offer, what's on shelves, how it's packaged, how often it releases, what goes in between. Like, we've gone through a fair few shifts that aren't, aside from that one thing I mentioned, which is an important thing, I will own, but also aren't that different from the other things that are kind of being talked about. Like, we've changed campaign sizes before.
Yeah.
And I will point out yet again, I promised I'd reiterate. Let's reiterate. Just because they've announced the intent to like do 3 and 5-ish on a larger side scenario campaigns does not mean that they can't change their mind and do something longer later if they have the idea and the ability to do so. So I don't know. I do think that calling it chapter 1 and chapter 2 is good because it does delineate important things, but that also exacerbates like, oh, chapter 2 is this new thing, and now all of these changes that are happening, I think for some people feel a lot newer, or maybe this is their first time going through it, maybe they've only joined the game more recently, but I don't know, we've weathered a fair few paradigm shifts in the life of this game, and I will reiterate yet again with the other piece, is that this is the first LCG that has a strong enough life to actually square off against this issue. Every LCG's run up against it. Yeah. This is the first one that to actually make it to, hey, here's a solution. Here's what we're doing. The wall of product is no longer going to be a problem for new players.
That is a good point, that in some ways the naming of it might influence, or at least the framing of it might influence how people feel about it. Because if you think about it in terms of, let's say, what's called Legacy. I believe it's Legacy is the name, where you're kind of using the entire card pool, chapter 1, chapter 2, just mixing everything together. Like, let's say you're a longtime player who does that. Like, there actually isn't really a delineation between chapter 1 and chapter 2 for you, because you're just still playing and mixing everything. But for other players, then obviously there is that kind of delineation if you're keeping them separate. But I think the thing is, they're kind of building into it that people can kind of approach those things how they want to, but because of how it's framed, I think it makes it feel like more of a clear break than it actually is.
Yeah, like almost creates a separate entity when if everything else, all the changes they were making to how this game is produced and released were made, but we didn't name it. I think it would be, obviously this stuff going out of print is a big thing, a big piece of the whole conversation.
Yeah.
But just about everything else that people are kind of talking about, these are all things we've gone through before.
Yeah, like if they had called this, like, there's already been a revised core set, but let's say there wasn't, and they had called this a revised core set instead, would it feel different? I don't know if it would or not, but it's kind of interesting to think. And the funny part too is, like, as far as I understand, chapter 2 is more of an unofficial term. Like, that's not what it's actually called. Like, it's just an Arkham Horror card game core set, but
yeah, I mean, again, we are really only focused on this shift because we're in the middle of it.
yeah.
5 years down the road, we will not be talking about chapter 1 as much, and in the same way, because the current stream will just be the current stream. And I don't know, we've referenced stuff that we've played in the past, and we've always gone back and played old campaigns, but I feel like at least in our content, we're always talking about the new stuff. We're always talking about what's on offer, the new releases, and doing card reviews, and just all that discourse that comes from new shit dropping. That's not going away.
And I know that is where some of it comes from, is the out of print part, because, like, separating the card pool, whatever, you're in control of that. Like, I don't think you should feel that much angst about that, if any.
Optional.
It going out of print, like we've talked about a bunch, I can understand. I also don't know what the other solution is, because like I said before, you can't keep all that stuff in print indefinitely. There's too much of it. I don't know how you would. Game stores can't keep all that in stock, so yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the maybe there is some other solution that could have solved it. I can't think of it.
I mean, it's kind of an impossible problem, because no matter what, you're going to be, upsetting someone. We talked about that last time. It's just rough. And, this is the first time we've had an LCG finally do something like this. A lot of the competitive ones talked about rotation, but I think did Netrunner even get to the point of rotation before?
I don't think it did.
Wizards
It
yanked
had
the
a
license?
very sudden end, so I don't know.
I think it was oncoming, but I don't know that the competitive scene had actually started rotating yet.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I stopped following that closely for a while.
Yeah. Which is, like, to that point, like, they are kind of, it's not like they invented this. They're kind of taking this from the big CCGs that have lasted a long time and what they do by rotating stuff out. So I think they're just kind of trying to learn from those lessons, and they're not doing the exact same thing in the same way, but it's not like it's some unheard of thing in a card game for stuff to rotate out. It's something that's happened for however many years in Magic, for example.
Yeah, so I mean, I do think it bears mentioning again that the separation of the card pools is optional. I mean, we're probably doing it more out of just, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for anyone else. I am planning to kind of keep chapter 2 mostly its own thing. Who knows if I'll stick with that? Maybe I get my hands on it and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't have to. But just out of the desire to see it in its own format. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to think like, oh, you don't have to worry about all those old degenerate decks that were like screwing up the player card balance anymore. Like, not that I ever played those, but it's the separation of the card pools is really pretty much only for a new player. if you're someone who is already invested in Chapter 1 and you liked Arkham Horror and they hadn't called it Chapter 2 and they were just like, all right, well, these are going out of print and now we're just going to continue doing this and from now on, we're starting a 2-year rotation. Like, you're not losing anything. You can, I mean, I guess maybe you can't play like the new versions of Investigators that already exist alongside them. So I guess mechanically there are a few things you're locked out on. But except, like, really, if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, the Arkham police aren't actually real, guys. We joke about them. They're not coming to your house.
No. They're not. Like, even the formats we've been provided are more like guidelines. Like, really, you could do whatever you want with the card pool. You could do that with the Chapter 1 card pool right now if you wanted. You could set some arbitrary rules and say, I'm only going to play with cards that have a blue cover or something. Like, you could piecemeal it however you want. And, like, these formats that are being provided, at least to me, are more of, like, common language that players can use to understand what kind of cards are being used.
Yeah. And yeah, Schultze points out, like, for people who are entering the community, this is going to be their entry point, and Chapter 1 will just be a dream that never was to them. So, like, another piece to, I guess to argue that Chapter 2 is kind of its own thing, and why we might want to focus on Chapter 2 as its own little thing would be to I guess help newbies, because that's going to be where the zeitgeist is at. Anyway, my ultimate point here is that so many of these changes are things we've seen before, and not in this exact same way and not the exact same changes, but the game has gone through multiple paradigm shifts, and the out of print piece is the only real big new thing. But I don't know. I mean, things have gone in and out of being hard to get the whole time too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm trying to think of the different reactions I've seen that are in the Doom category, I guess. It's either the out of print thing, it's kind of some weird speculation about why this happened is another category. And then there's a lot I've seen, and this is the one that I'm maybe surprised about how visceral people's reaction is to the length of campaign. We've touched on it a little bit, but I guess we haven't directly addressed it, so I'm kind of curious how you feel about, at least, again, with the caveat that we don't know exactly what they're going to do. We just know what they've said so far, which is these are going to be like 3 scenario campaigns or 5-ish scenario campaigns. Like, how do you feel personally about these shorter campaigns?
Personally, I'm a fan. And, you know, this is just my weird spot in life right now where, you know, things are busy. Things are crazy in Minnesota right now. I don't know if you've been watching the news. There's a lot going on. I guess the main thing is that what a longer campaign does over a shorter campaign doesn't hold as much value for me personally, right? I don't get to play with you guys very often. So I'm often playing with people who are far less bought into Arkham right now. And a 3 or 5 scenario campaign is a hell of a lot easier sell than like 8 to 10 or, you know, whatever we'd want to put some of the longer campaigns at. And the other thing that I think, and I think we mentioned this on last episode, but I imagine, and this is speculation, I don't know this, but I imagine that the standalones will be easier to find than whole old campaigns for Chapter 1. And shorter campaigns will encourage more side stories, and I'm honestly kind of looking forward to that. It's rare. It's very rare that I throw a side story in a campaign because there are already 8 scenarios. I've already, like, by the time I hit scenario 5, I'm already thinking, like, all right, my deck is kind of peaked. Like, all right, I'm just throwing XP, and I'm really just aiming at whatever resolution I've been aiming at. And I kind of, like, unless there are some really fun scenarios at the end of campaigns, and I look forward to those, obviously. But there's a certain point where it's like, all right, I'm kind of ready for the next campaign. And I totally get it. Like the long spanning sprawling stories of a 8 scenario campaign are fun, and we've had some really good times with them. But I'm not like super upset that that's not going to be a thing as much anymore. And again, post Innsmouth, we've already gone through a change and a reduction in the way the number of scenarios in a campaign. Hemlock, you play 6 scenarios. And that is a good example of like, okay, yes, you play 6 scenarios in a campaign, but there are more than 6 scenarios in that box. And I don't think they've said anything to that effect for Children of Blood specifically. But that's not to say they couldn't do something like that with a future campaign where like it's technically a 3 scenario campaign, but there's lots of different ways you can remix the order or the encounter sets or the difficulty. Like Nick has always wanted his aspiration has always been to add more meat to the differing difficulties rather than just cranking the numbers on the chaos bag and making the effects meaner.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, were your ears burning?
We've also seen like multi-part scenarios before, like Ice and Death is probably the most prominent example. Or scenarios where there's like totally different versions depending on maybe not totally different, but they feel fairly different versions depending on past stuff. So yeah. I guess I have mixed feelings about it. Like I can understand why people are sad to have shorter campaigns. Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, that's dumb. Like there's no reason to feel sad about it. Like it makes sense. Like on the one hand, like you get used to what you get used to. Like it's familiarity to have those longer campaigns. I think there's the XP issue that people like, not just the quantity of XP you get in a longer campaign, but that feeling of like building up your deck over all these many scenarios in each kind of break point. And so that development can be fun of like building up your deck. And also like this really long sprawling story. Like I think part of why people really love Carcosa is that because it is this really epic long story that kind of plays out over all these different locations. So I totally get all that.
That's fair.
On the other hand, I do like the opportunities of shorter campaigns. Like you mentioned, Sean, I too, even just for my own solo play, I do find we've talked about it before, but in the past, I feel like I had a lot more time to play Arkham, and so I would play through these 8 scenario campaigns and multiple of them, no problem. But now there's like the number of campaigns the number of campaigns I start and don't finish. I wonder what my completion rate. I would say I probably start more campaigns than I finish these days. And I suspect part of the problem is length because I will like peter out on some of these campaigns around the 4 or 5 scenario mark. So maybe this is a perfect length and I'll be able to complete more campaigns just being more bite-sized. Yeah, so I guess I'm riding the fence a little bit, but I'm just kind of interested to see where they land.
Yeah. It's... Yeah, and there's a thing to be said for like density as well, right? So we're presumably, at least in the one that's been announced, we're getting fewer scenarios, but who's to say what the card count is and what things you can swap out? And like if a 3 scenario cane is more mechanically dense with more moving parts, or not necessarily moving parts, more swappable parts, right? Like randomized locations or differing encounter sets or whatever it happens to be, I'm more okay with a shorter campaign that like is all juice, right? Like all killer, no filler. And that is the counterpoint. Ian, you were 100% correct. Carcosa is great, and that's why people love it, and it really does. You couldn't tell Carcosa in 5 scenarios. I don't think you could do that. However, there are in a lot of campaigns the dreaded low points. And obviously they never planned for that to be the case. And, you as a designer, you want all the scenarios to be interesting, but like it just ends up happening that way. Like there are the low points in the campaigns. And ideally with a 3 scenario campaign, more testing can be focused on the 3 scenarios. the flow of how they go, and ideally they just end up being more juice, all killer no filler, or more killer less filler, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully not no filler, but yeah, and we also haven't seen how the kind of like how many cards, like we know how many scenarios, but how many cards are going to be included, and like in theory with fewer scenarios you should be able to, how do I want to put this? Like when you're trying to spread out, let's say you have an expansion, a whole campaign expansion's worth of cards in encounter cards, you have to design those to fit with all these different scenarios. But in theory, with these shorter campaigns, each scenario should be more tightly focused on what it wants to do, because you don't need to have as much of like kind of, well, we can fit this encounter set in here because like we need to. We have to make as much use out of these cards as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it'll make things more economical. It kind of has to. But yeah, so I don't know. You feel how you feel. Yes, I absolutely think it is a little bit sad sometimes that not every campaign will be as long as campaigns have been in the past, but we will be fine. We will have side stories. And again, they may decide, okay, we've got an idea and we can't do this in 5 scenarios. Here's a long campaign again. Like that's so within the realm of feasibility. Getting locked in the idea that what has been announced is the only way it will ever be is a mistake, in my opinion, because we have so much more evidence in the history of Arkham to prove otherwise, that they are constantly evaluating how they're doing this and willing to make changes when it would enact a good change to the paradigm. So another I'll do this quickly, but there's been a lot of commenting on the art for chapter 2, particularly art being lackluster. And you can have whatever opinion you want about any piece of art. That shit is so subjective. That's totally fine. The leap I have a problem with is, okay, I've seen 2 bad pieces of art, in my opinion, from chapter 2. Therefore, chapter 2 is going to be shit. That is the leap that I have a problem with. And like, I think I've seen so many threads of people that just get there so fast. I'll say it. This game has always had some iffy art.
Yeah.
I think in general it's been really good.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to think whatever you want about the stuff that's been previewed, but this is not new to have like art that makes you go, huh, well, I see what maybe they were doing there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many pieces at play to produce this stuff. Like, it's just inevitable.
Yeah, general art quality of the game overall has been high, but yeah, like if you need some perspective, go look through some of the core chapter 1 art pieces, and they're not all winners. I'm not trying to be mean to any art piece, but
baseball bat.
You could go back to our early Mythos Busters episodes, and we were making fun of some of those. So it's been there for the life of the game.
And and if you even just think about again how the sausage is made, it's so separate in its production from how the game itself is constructed to play. Mm-hmm. Like, they write these art briefs obviously to go with the vision, but I don't know, if one monster looks a little off, it's not going to ruin the scenario or like be defective and work differently, you know? Like, I don't know. I again, people are allowed to have whatever opinions they want about art. That's a real thing. But the leap from, okay, we've seen some bad art out of the core, therefore the sky is falling on Arkham and everything is horrible. That's, if you find yourself thinking that, take a deep breath and go look at some old Arkham art, and you'll realize that this is like the most normal thing. It's so normal. Okay. So one last thing that I really want to tackle. This is the one where I'm going to get a little sassy, but just a little bit. People are doing a lot of speculation on all of this, and of course that's understandable. Big change, lots of things happening. You know, I do think it's a mistake to have strong opinions before the thing even friggin' releases, just in general. But it is one thing to express your own perspective on all of this. It is one thing to comment on the work that's done. Totally fine. On it's great. I think we should always in this community have a robust and ongoing critical discussion on what's working, what's not, what could be better, what hit, what didn't. That's all great. But it's entirely another matter to project malicious or neglectful are the two biggest ones I've seen. Malicious or neglectful intent onto the devs. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about what Duke is thinking, or what Nick is thinking, or what MJ was thinking, or why this was happened, or blah, 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 blah. And again, like, sitting as the person who just happens to be lucky to know a lot of these people and know a lot, it's really wild how wrong these people are, sounding so sure. And if I guess that's an important internet lesson for everyone, children. People on the internet can say whatever the fuck they want. But I think it is entirely another thing from criticism to say things like that, to point at the devs or even at FFG as an organization and say they are acting maliciously and poorly to fuck the buyers, to screw the community. Like, that's not happening. They might make some decisions that are unfortunate or have unforeseen consequences, but I don't know, man. We know these guys. Nick is my oldest gaming friend. I've spent a decent amount of time with Duke and a little bit of time with Reed. And I can definitively say that all of these developers that are currently on the game love the game and want to make it as good as they can. So it's intensely disrespectful and honestly kind of childish. Oh, there we go. There's the sass. It's a childish thing to be angry at some of this stuff and say, well, the developers, like, as soon as you start projecting intent and assuming all of these background things that would inform that intent and just essentially calling the employees of FFG like traitors, basically, is the tone of a lot of these posts. I'll stand 10 toes on the ground and say that's bad behavior. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you find yourself doing that, don't stop. And for anyone else, feeding those opinions is a great way to, at least it's a great factor in fandom becoming toxic. Don't do it. Stop. Have your opinions on the work. Don't assume the intent of the people. And thank you. Who put this soapbox down here? I
try to confiscate all of them, but they keep popping back in.
Hold them, no soapboxes.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. As we've kept saying, like, even having constructive criticism, there's been so many times throughout the life of the podcast that we've criticized decisions that FFG have made, or like things that they've done. I bitch about
Nick shit all the time.
Like, are there like ways that, like, let's say Asmodee taking over back in the day influenced things, and like ways that they shifted FFG in a direction we didn't like? Yes, but all of those things were like things that we actually knew happened and were very like actual evidence for them happening, and not just like, oh, we think this is happening. Like, the results were right there. Versus, just look at society at large. When I say that people really love a good conspiracy, they love
a good villain.
They love a good villain. They love gossip. They love overcomplicating explanations for when the explanation is actually really simple for why something is happening. And so all of those things play a factor, and all of which is to say, like, I get it, but especially when it gets into the like place of you're imputing intentions to real human beings and you don't know them and you don't know what they're actually about and what they're doing, like, there's just no place for it.
So there's no use to it either. And
yeah,
the thing is attitudes and energy like that poisons the well of good community discourse that might possibly lead to positive changes because the devs listen. The devs are around. The devs, all three of them came from this community. Like, they're still connected to it. They still listen. They still take the community discourse into account and read the criticisms people have. But when you tread into that area, it just becomes wholly unuseful. You're going to turn people off to whatever truth you might have wrapped up in all of that bitterness. And it's just stop it. Just stop it. And I know we're only 23 people in here right now, and there'll be a few hundred people who watch this on YouTube after, and then I think a few thousand people who will listen to our podcast. But, we can be the change we want to see in the world. I think, again, it is totally fine to have opinions on the work, but can we let the work fucking release before we get this worked up about it?
Apparently not.
Jesus! Look, I'm a salty bitch, and I will sling salt when salt needs slinging. But I really think that looking at some art and looking at a few effects or whatever evidence that people are able to glean from what's been shared about the core set so far, and assuming everything about how it's going to go and how it's going to play and what it's going to feel like as an overall product and how it's going to affect the community and how it's going to affect a new player's onboarding experience and all of these different things that are worth talking about. If you think all those things before it releases, you do not, and you need to chill a little bit and have your opinions. But oh man, there are just so much more productive ways to be doing criticism than what's going on right now in a lot of these forums.
Yep. And this is kind of a tangent, but related to some of the things I've seen of guessing motivations of why they're including this card or design this card this way or this product this way. But just a reminder that although you're the main character of your life, you're not the main character of everyone's life. And that is to say that because you experience Arkham in one way isn't the way everyone's experiencing it, which is also to say that a lot of this is meant to be an intro to new players. And so, not speaking for the designers, but I know from what they've said that they are interested in how they can kind of create a meaningful kind of entry point and core experience for new players who haven't played the game before. Kind of taking on some of those lessons from chapter 1, and I've seen that in some of the things that they've included in the way they've designed certain investigators, and totally makes sense to me from that perspective. So just kind of don't assume that everything that is designed or every decision that is made was done solely with you in mind. Is the way I would put that.
Checking your own sense of entitlement is a very valuable adult skill. I'm still working on it. Often I feel like I'm entitled to win our games of Arkham Horror, the card game, and I am not afforded that privilege. So often I feel I'm entitled not to draw 3 tentacles in a row during TFA.
Oh my god.
Damn it, Nick, that scenario was so fucking hard. Also, my luck was kicking in hard, but still. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So obviously we've said it a billion times. Everyone feels how they feel, and that's fine. And you can be sad, you can be frustrated, you can be lots of different things. But let's try to keep a lid on being negative and being misery-seeking company. That doesn't make for good forums. Except for those people who want to wallow in the misery and have the company. But new players coming in are going to see these things. People who don't share those same worried opinions see these things and might turn off. I know I sometimes do. But I think it's important to keep in mind that right now, where we sit, we are in the roughest spot it will be. Because we have these announcements. We've been given the news that that we're losing something, that this thing that we thought we had is now being taken away. I mean, that was happening anyway. There was never any promise that all Arkham Horror, the card game, was going to continue to be reprinted in perpetuity. There's no fucking way they could do that. That was never a promise. So it's not like this wasn't going to happen anyway. But obviously the announcement and the surety of hearing that is important. And it's we're in this weird phase where we have that and we don't have the new thing to replace it yet. So a lot of us kind of just have this place where we're sad about the thing going away. We don't have the new thing that we're getting in its place to even comfort us. So we're locking onto all these little details about the previews and kind of focusing a lot of catastrophizing into our interpretation of those details. And you know what? That can happen to anyone. Like when you're kind of mired in this spot of change, and especially change where you're losing something, catastrophizing can get away from anyone. But trust that there will be new Arkham. Again, this is the first LCG to really live long and strong enough to have to tackle this issue. There will be new Arkham. And by any indications that I'm aware of, it will continue to be good Arkham. And even good Arkham has had banana black spots.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it. Like the imperfection has been there the whole time. MJ did a fantastic job. With her rotating group of helpers, but her being at the helm for years. But even the Arkham that we're losing, and maybe we're gonna mythologize and like start to hold up on a pedestal. I don't know where this is headed. That also was imperfect, and Nick and Duke have a couple of campaigns out there. I know Reed has been deeply ingrained in the Arkham community and doing content and engagement and that sort of stuff. So by the work that I know them by, and I guess by all indications, this is just going to continue to be good Arkham. And we can be sad that the old stuff is going to be harder to get, but we march ever onward, and we will all be okay. I promise.
Yeah, I guess my final thought on that note is, like, you just named 3 developers who are working on the game. Look at how much effort they're putting into coming up with these product lines and announcements and streams and everything else. So clearly, no matter what we may think about individual decisions, like, they're putting a lot of energy into this, a 10-year-old card game. Something we like,
so that it can live longer.
Yeah, like you've mentioned, something we've never seen before. So from FFG. So yeah, that can only be a good sign.
I know we're in a rough spot now. Have faith. We will not be here forever. We'll get on the other side of it, and there'll just be new Arkham to look forward to, and it'll be great. All right. Well, thank you for going on this journey with us. I'm gonna have to talk to the soapbox removers. I really told them to get it out of the room before we started this stream, but I just had to stand on it for a minute, I guess. So next time on Mythos Busters, we will wrap up talking about the remaining 3 investigators and classes. Obviously, I think Mystic is the last one to go up. This week is the end of it, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Unless they're planning on doing any like neutrals and stuff. But they've slipped some neutrals into the card previews up to this point, right?
They have, yeah. I'm pretty sure they have.
I remember seeing like flashlight and
yeah.
stuff. Okay, well anyway. We will be wrapping up talking about the last 3 investigators and the cards that go with them. And it's going to be a really good time. And you know what? March is going to be here far sooner than any of us realize. Mm-hmm. We are less than 2 months away from this dropping. Less than 2 months. Fewer than 60 days.
Anxiety spiking
I'm sorry,
again.
Should I stop talking? Wait, I'm sorry. I'm so good with this. I should come with my own trigger warning.
I know.
It's like a making Ian nervous button. All right. Well, anyway, thank you all for coming to our stream and listening to our podcast or being on our YouTube. And we look forward to ushering in Chapter 2 with you guys and looking forward to new Arkham in the future. So we will see you guys next time on Mythos Busters.
Bye.